And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from your lies. You're so self-satisfied. I don't need you. I've got to break free.
God knows. And everybody else. Maybe we don't even need to tell God. Does he need to know? Well, yeah, I'm sure he does if he's there. And you know, would God be in support of this lawsuit? Think about it. Think about it. You have a lawsuit that is protecting individuals to be able to have the free will to choose. If you don't have the free will to choose without the state, so what is this? Constantinople? We got the emperor, Constantine saying, you know what? The state, we're into this Christian thing. You know what? We're going to help you write the Bible, which they did. Canonizing, the Bible. We got to get that Romans 13 part in there. Thou shalt respect authority. You're granted to you from God. What do we have just this last week? Pastor Chuck Baldwin, presidential candidate from the Constitution Party. My wife, listens to him every Sunday. In fact, she has friends come over in the living room every Sunday here, and they watch an hour of Pastor Chuck Baldwin, healing them. Let me tell you why. For 4 weeks, he's doing a series on Romans 13, which is, the state always claims, is what? Oh, Romans 13, that is, the intersection of church and state. That's the overlap. Pinky swear, I'm going to tell you all about it. And he goes, no, that is not what it meant. And he'll go into details why we should resist authority. So, for those that care what, a man of God has to say about it, fine. Maybe what God has to say about it. Does God want this lawsuit to prevail? Well, those that don't care to even ask him are the ones doing it. The people that are in support of their faith, do they want the government dictating a day of prayer? These are things that I don't see how the big bad Bubba guys in government are going to win this one. You can argue it 15 ways from Sunday, and I'm telling you, you are not going to get a justification for the government setting aside a day for you to pray. But I welcome the challenge. I welcome the court challenge. We're going to find out. And one of the guys leading this up, Richard Morris, attorney here in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to the show, Richard. Help me understand this. Tell me what's going on.
Well, it's a very simple thing. What we're trying to do, that is my clients are trying to do, is they're trying to maintain the bright line between government and the church. The reason for that is if you don't maintain this bright line, you're going to end up with a theocracy, and you can look at the Ayatollahs in Iran for a very common one.
Do we really feel that there's that kind of threat here in the U.S.? I mean, in my lifetime, I look back and I go, yeah, there's been this, church. It's almost like a minimum job requirement to be in any position of politics. Are you born again? Did you? It's a culture thing. Has the culture changed? Are we shifting? Is this part of that?
It would seem for the first, say, 150 years, I'm going to round numbers here, of the United States, you did not have any issue of divisiveness between the people who were religious and the people who were not. Then in the 1950s, you began to see people who were. And particularly under the Reverend Billy Graham, he was able to influence enough congressmen to add, for example, the under God and the Pledge of Allegiance and so on. And since that time, they say the last 60 years, we've now seen a greater influence of religion and trying to make it being the government, make it more of a theocracy than it was prior to that. So that now, many of the people who don't believe are precluded from doing many things. Some of my clients here in this lawsuit have said that they can't join, for example, the Kiwanis or the Rotarians or something because they always start out with a Pledge of Allegiance that includes under God. They can't start out a meeting without having an invocation and so on. And so it makes them, as the law student Justin was just talking about, it makes them feel like an outsider. They're no longer part of the society.
Well,
But It's become divisive, and the point is, it's divisive. You have to have the bright line between government and church.
I couldn't possibly care less what a private organization makes as part of their ritual. You know, they can do whatever they want. What really concerns me is that when you have a Pledge of Allegiance that came from a socialist anyway, you know, as the religion was the state, and then they jumped on top of that and said, okay, let's add God to it. Well, right off the bat, I know that there had to have been people at that time during Eisenhower's administration where they're going, isn't this kind of violation of the First Amendment thing? Aren't there cases from then? You know, what happened then?
Well, going back to what I was just saying about the Kiwanis and the Rotarians, you have a choice, and therefore you can not take part. You cannot avoid being a citizen, and therefore that's one of the defining differences between a private organization that should continue to do the prayer and continue to do the Pledge of Allegiance and whatever they want. But as a citizen, I don't have that choice. My clients don't have that choice. I'm speaking for them because they are citizens of Arizona. They are citizens of the United States. They can't say, I'm not going to join Arizona. They are in Arizona. Therefore, the division line, this bright line between church and state is particularly critical.
Okay, understood. My question again still is, when they added under God to this statist, socialist, collectivist, little kids got to pledge and do the Heil Hitler thing to the flag deal, wasn't there cases? Didn't somebody challenge? There had to have been something.
Dr. Michael Newdale has taken this through the court. It's I think it may even still be under appeal. But the Ninth Circuit ruled on that issue. A very interesting case. If you go research that, the dissenting opinion was 163 pages long. And in the dissent, the dissenting judge said, I have to vote with a majority because of stare decisis, which is the rule that because the rule is set, I have to therefore follow it. However, it is not good. And he set out a very eloquent opinion explaining why it is he dissented from the reasoning of the court, even though he felt compelled to vote with the court. So yes, it's going.
Why was he compelled? Was it a social thing? I mean,
no, it was compelled because there was precedent, and the judges, if they're going to be properly doing their job, a judge has to follow precedent. And in the Ninth Circuit, in all the circuits,
has to follow precedent. I mean, how do you get over changing precedent?
Yeah, you go to a higher court.
Okay, now what level was this?
Ninth Circuit. That's the second highest court in the United States.
Okay, so the Ninth Circuit says, we got to follow the United States Supreme Court, and you want to change this, you got to go to the Supreme Court, and it didn't make it to the Supreme Court.
No, actually, it's more complicated than that. There's nothing simple in law.
It gets whatever I'm telling you, it's always a side effect of culture. And I see this lawsuit as a mechanism by which we inform individuals and to help change that culture, to define what the argument really is. And it's very clear per our Constitution and per the spirit of it, even is that we have, while we're going to waging war against anybody that, not Christian kind of thing, whether that's a motivation or not, it certainly is what makes it acceptable to a lot of people. Now, demonize it because I saw it coming. I mean, it was just, I'm shocked it took them this long. So I'm going, but to have this case come up to argue these points so that we can change the minds of people going up to recognize this, to see the evil behind it, to see what's wrong, to see what makes us a much better country by not advocating for, or I know you and Marc and a lot of guys, I'm a crazy Christian. I'm believing kind of in the spirit and, spaghetti monsters and so on. I get it. But the thing is that if I don't have the free will to do so, if I have such a void in my spiritual self that I need the sanction, the absolution, and the endorsement of the government, then I got bigger problems. I need the government to make it okay for me to believe. Then what? I don't have enough faith or something? I need to sanction the rubber stamp of government? Oh, see, that's what this is really about. It's to change minds between the ears. We'll be right back here with Dick Morris on Declare Your Independence in just a little bit.